Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. In today's video, we continue Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Spider's Thesis. What if Shinji Ikari was Spider-Man? Part 9. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. So with part 9, you could say that this is the video before the series finale, if you will, as next week part 10 will be the final part in this series. And with a lot of series on the channel, I'm trying to get into the wrap-up phase, if you will, since there aren't too many more parts left with a lot of them. I'd say by next week and the week after, that's probably going to be where we start wrapping up all of these stories and we get ready for the Spider-Verse 2-part crossover event that will end phase 2. Now, there are going to be some side projects, a couple of side videos that come out here and there with some of these series. And hey, a few of these series you might actually see in the future down the line in some way, shape, or form. So, always keep that in mind with everything else. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. For Masato and for everyone else at Nerve, it felt as though they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. No one was going to outright say it, from the highest of the higher-ups down to even the custodial workers, to those who only worked with the cafeteria staff and with cleaning, those who did the mundane of the mundane, even those who had been completely oblivious to everything that had been happening up to this point felt as if even they knew something was coming. A storm. As if this grand story that we all call life was getting ready to come to a climactic end. Safe to say, everyone felt as though they were walking on eggshells, no one quite sure of knowing what to do. They were simply told to continue on with their everyday lives. As Gendo would put it, until the world actually ended, they were going to just continue on as if it wasn't. Which, when you lived in this sort of world, when you lived this type of life, it was what you had to expect. Even for those who had lived 15 years ago, when Second Impact occurred, many in the world were just doing their own thing, not really paying any rhyme or reason or attention to anything else. When suddenly this climactic, this cataclysmic, almost biblical proportions end of the world scenario had occurred, affecting millions of lives, millions of people all around. For those who had managed to recover long since then, they had just always taken to living their life knowing that the potential end of the world could come at any moment. But for those who were in the real know and know of it all, they were the ones who truly burdened the gravity of the situation. For Masato, following their last outing against the Angel, everyone was in a beat-up shape to say the least. Karo was in a coma, and Ava Unit 1 had been put on suspension, not even to be used under any circumstance. The kids were also recovering just fine. Toji, he suffered a couple of broken ribs in the last fight, but he was able to persevere, and his healing factor was working well enough. As for the girls, well, they were all going through it personally. Penny no longer carried that trademark smile she was always known for. In fact, the girl almost seemed dead inside. Between losing Shinji, someone she truly saw as a close friend, between all of the fighting, the death, the destruction, she was almost at the point of losing her nerve. If honestly, the only thing that truly kept her going at this point was seeing Kensuke, and also Masato, but even still, For the woman that she saw as the older sister she never had, Masayo was going through it just as much as anyone. More beer cans and curry packets and instant ramen strewn all around the floor more than usual. Among many things that Shinji was good at, he was always good at keeping on to them when it came to their chores. As for Asuka, well, safe to say her mind was not in the best of states. She couldn't get in contact with Kaji. She had lost Shinji. She reflected on the losses of her own past. Even Rei wasn't in the most chummiest of moods. There was something about Gendo. It was a lot more off-putting than normal. Sure, he was kind and cordial to her, as he'd always been, but for some reason, she felt as though it was more of a facade than anything else. Whenever she looked into his eyes, the way he looked at her, it wasn't like he was really looking at her. No. She could almost feel as if whenever he looked at her, he was looking at someone else. Like she was just supposed to be someone else to Gendo, but she truly didn't know what that was. Out of everyone, Toji was the only one who was pushing through relatively normally. But still, between his best friend being killed and, well, the things that were going on at Nerve, he wasn't in the best of moods. Koaro just rubbing him the wrong way entirely. It didn't feel right seeing someone else wearing Shinji's Spider-Man suit, or seeing someone else parade himself around like he was Spider-Man, when clearly he wasn't. Of course, though, in the end, it really didn't matter. They felt as though the end was coming. It was just a matter of time. A matter of when, not even if. Before long, the three girls in particular, Penny, Rei, and Asuka, would find themselves all sitting, standing, and, well, staring inside of an elevator as they climbed slowly up the levels of Nerve. So, Asuka would say. Yep, Penny would say. Mm-hmm. Rei would chime in. Yep. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. This carried on for a while until the doors finally opened. Toji was ready to walk in and he greeted them all, but then he saw the mood. I don't know what I'm walking into. Is it that time of the... Ow! Before he even finished that sentence, Asuka gave him a punch to the face. Penny, she tripped him over. Rei, well, she slapped him. Sorry I asked. Oh. The kids would then make their way to the main gates. The alarm would go off not too long after. There was a sighting in the city. A man whose body had begun to transform. His body was a strange amalgamation of green and gold. What appeared to be tendrils that formed an almost cape-like bellow that flew behind him. His head turned into something like a dome, like a fishbowl or something like that. But inside was a swirling gas of green. Safe to say, the children had no idea what they were getting themselves into. But now the 4 spiders would be dispatched onto the scene. The being was classified as Mysterio. It was confirmed to be the 15th angel, Ariel, the angel of light. Although that was probably a misconception. So how do you want to engage this? Penny would ask. It's simple, Asuka would say. We surround it, we take it down, and we kill it. As they tried to get closer, though, the mist would now envelop the entire area. The children couldn't see where they were or what they were going through. now being confused by the illusions that now surrounded them all. Asuka would be the one to face it the worst, as she saw him. Shinji! Shinji, you're... Oh! Shinji would then punch Asuka in the face. Weak and pathetic Asuka, that's what you are. Always thinking that you're better than everyone else. But really, you're nothing more but a replacement, a backup, a mere tool. What? You were never good enough to actually be on my level. I mean, come on. You're ultimately a failure. When I needed you most, you weren't there for me. Just like you weren't there for her. Do you think your mother ever even loved you? How do I know? You talk in your sleep. I know everything about you. I know about how your mother loved that doll more than you. How it got to the point where nothing you did could get her attention. And then she took her life so selfishly. But do you want to know what? I have a theory. This Shinji leaned in close to Asuka, the Spider-Man looming over her. Perhaps you were an embarrassment to her, a disappointment. I mean, the fact that a doll could be more valuable than you. How pathetic is that? Maybe the doll would be a better pilot. Shut up. What's the matter? The truth hurts? I mean, it's already obvious that your father didn't love her. I mean, he's already remarried, living it up with his second wife. It's almost as if she never existed. I mean, honestly though, if I had to marry a lunatic for a wife, and then I had to have a disappointment of a daughter like you, I would have scrapped everything and started over my damn self. If anything, she did him a favor by offing herself. Shut the hell up! Asuka would then lunge towards the illusion Shinji, as she found herself punching at a solid cement wall. Even though the wall shattered somewhat, she could still feel the pain bearing on her knuckles. Everyone else was dealing with their own set of illusions. Toji saw his sister being crushed in the rubble and being unable to save her. Penny saw her uncle, believing that she could save him, only for his death to be replayed on loop over and over again. Rei was the only one that could see clearly, who was not fooled by the illusions of Mysterio. The reason being is because Rei had no memories, no attachments, nothing of the sort that could make her not be able to tell illusion from reality. How are you able to see through it? I can peer into the heart and the soul. I shine the light on the darkness that mankind hides within. How are you able to? Because I already live in the light. There is no darkness within me. You prey on the insecurities, on the fear of my friends. And your mistake is that you've come across someone that has no fear. Rei would make short work of Mysterio. With him now focusing all of his strength and attention on Rei, it caused his illusions around the others to dissipate, as they now joined forces in taking him down. Using her mech armor, Penny would drive the killing blow, that being her mechanical arm, turning it into a dagger and drilling it through Mysterio's dome and skull. It would cause him to dissipate in the light, now entering into his second form, the angel form. The Evangelions would now be launched to the surface, the spiders all entering into the Evas. Asuka was still being tormented by the visions, her mental state starting to drop dramatically. Make it stop. Make it stop. Please. Make it stop. No. Please. Make it stop. Asuka, get a hold of yourself. Huh? Inside of Eva Unit 2, inside of the pod, she found herself not alone. Inside with her was a man, a young man dressed in black, with the insignia of the spider in white etched across his chest. He stood next to her, his hand planted firmly on hers. This isn't the Asuka that I know. Don't give up. This isn't over. Don't let him win. Who? It doesn't matter. Right now, you need to focus. I'm not going to let it break you. I promised I'd always be there for you. And I'm not going to break that promise. Asuka, focus. With a newfound strength and vigor, Asuka's sync ratios would start to rise. For Masato, Ritsuko, and the others, they didn't know how this was happening. All the same, using her telekinetic ability, Asuka would launch an AT field high into the sky, countering that of the hovering angel, canceling it out and using all of her force, as Toji and Penny would assist. Come on, Wonder Girl! If you have a way of taking that damn thing out, then do it! Seeing the opportunity, Gendo would have the Lance of Longinus retrieved from Rei. Fuyutsuki would warn that Seele would not take too kindly to this. This is the only way to defeat the angel. If you go against their orders now, Ikari, then you know what will happen. We are only doing what we need to do. They will understand. Are we really doing what we need to do? Or is this just something you want to do? Fuyutsuki would think to himself. An action like this, Seele were not going to turn the other cheek. Gendo had been acting fast and loose for too long, thinking himself even above them. Although for Gendo it really didn't matter. They were in the end game, as it were, at this point. From now, it was just a matter of playing with whatever cards you had left. Rei would take the Lance of Longinus and would launch it directly towards the angel, piercing and killing it, although losing the lance in the process. Almost as if this is what Gendo wanted. Not by chance. The opportunity simply presented itself, and he took it. While the day had been saved for Asuka, when she tried to turn and see who was in her piloting area, there was no one there. The man in black, a voice that sounded so familiar, so pleasant to her. Just where had he gone? Of course, following the battle, Seele were not too pleased with this. Not at all. Even more so, they decided that now was the time to put an end to Gendo and to his insubordinates for long enough. They had allowed him to go unchecked, and this is how far he had gotten. No, this time he would pay. Shortly after, Ritsuko would be called in by Seele. You could say that this was an embarrassment of an interrogation, but for Ritsuko, she truly didn't care. For everything she had been through, for the role that she had played in all of this, it seemed as though things were now coming to an end. Before long, the 16th angel would emerge. An angel that looked like it coiled like a snake made out of light. The being known as Armasoul. It would try to assimilate itself with the 4 Evangelions, the 4 pilots happening to be careful as they tried to strike it down and destroy it. However, it found itself attaching to Rei trying her best to fend off the advancements of the angel. The others tried their best to free Rei desperately, but Rei, now seeing in her own assimilation, her own memories, or at least what she could recall as memories, seeing those whom she had come to fight beside, her allies, her friends. She thought about Shinji in that moment. She didn't want to go through that. She didn't want to lose another friend. Rei was prepared to take it into herself, to absorb the angel into herself, into the Eva, and to self-destruct. However, before she could do so, from out of nowhere, another mech arrived. However, it didn't look like an Evangelion. It looked like something entirely different. It was a robot of sorts, in black. It took from its side a sword and struck down the angel, slicing it into pieces before pulling it away from the others and destroying it. For everyone else watching at Nerve, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. For Gendo and for Fuyutsuki, they couldn't imagine. Ikari, is that? I thought it was nothing more but a rumor, a fantasy. Gendo would curse under his breath. That damned Kaji. Always a pain in my side, down to the end. I thought we had retrieved the last sample of Garia. And yet, the Angel Slayer lives. Leopardon. Guys, Toji would say inside of his Eva. What is that thing? It's not an Evangelion, Penny would say. I have no idea, Rei would say. Who are you? Asuka would ask. Almost as quickly as the mech had arrived, in a poof of smoke, and in a large gust of wind obscuring everyone's vision, it just as quickly disappeared. Safe to say, the area was quarantined immediately. Everyone would begin their investigations trying to figure out just what in the hell that thing was. Gendo was fully aware. Seele were losing their damn minds. Of all the things, she has summoned it. Seele. The council spoke amongst itself. But how is Leopardon alive? Who could pilot it? Was this the work of Ikari? I knew we couldn't trust him. No, if Ikari had Leopardon, then there would be no need for him to take the actions that he did. This was not written in the Dead Sea Scrolls. How is it that the traitor lives? Is there a third party, a third source at work? What organization could have had it that we wouldn't have known about? It makes no difference. We cannot stall any longer. Send units 6 to 13. How long can it be before they are operational? It will take roughly 12 hours, a day after tomorrow. Very well. What of the 17th? He is said to awaken shortly. When he awakens, we will give him the final order. He will lead the charge at Nerve. All of it, everyone and everything. They must all be destroyed, save for Unit 1. All would agree, and as such, the final operation would be put into motion. Before long, as the children had been allowed to go home, they would all be given a call from Ritsuko. Rei, Penny, Asuka, Toji. They were told to come to Nerve and come to an underground bunker immediately. As Ritsuko awaited for them, the 4 children would arrive. However, as she entered in the passcode, it wouldn't work. From the shadows, a gun could be heard being clocked as Misato would step out. So, you know about it? I know you're hiding something, Ritsuko, and I want the truth. Very well, but only if they come also. Misato would agree. She would take them deeper underground and reveal an area that Rei was all too familiar with. Do you recognize it, Ayanami? Ritsuko would say. I do. It's where I was born. Where you were born? Toji would say. Miss Ritsuko, what is this? As they moved further, they would see the graveyard. All of the large remains, the skeletons, all of the dirty secrets of Nerve. What kinda? Asuka wanted to throw up. This is the Eva graveyard. This is where it all started 10 years ago. It was here where Shinji's mother met her end also. Shinji's mom? Asuka would say. Yes, it's the same with your mother. Misato kept herself ready, keeping the gun concentrated on Ritsuko. What's the meaning of all of this? What? You want to know the truth? Here's the truth. The truth is, Misato, we tried to play God. We tried to create gods in our own images. If God created Adam, we created the Eva. And this is the result. She would then show them all the clones of Rei. For Rei Ayanami, she always felt like she knew, but Rei, have you ever felt like you and Shinji had a close bond, but yet you couldn't really explain it? You couldn't understand it, but you knew it existed. I'll tell you the truth. The truth is, you are a clone of Yui Ikari, Gendo's wife. I'm Ritsuko, Misato would say. You want the truth, don't you? Well, here's the truth. The truth is that all those years ago, Gendo's wife's soul was trapped inside of Eva Unit 1. Not just that. Asuka, your mother's soul, it lives. It is trapped inside of Eva Unit 2. What? What do you think? Do you think there's a reason why you pilot Eva Unit 2? Why you can't just switch pilots in and out between the Evas? Asuka, come on. You're a smart girl. Have none of you realized this? The Evangelions that you use, there are souls trapped within them. Some of them familial, some of them completely random. I have no idea. I lost track a long time ago. That's how the Evas work. A soul is encased inside of the Eva to give it function, to give it consciousness. And the pilots are the brain. They're what make it move. This is the true reason of nerve of the Evangelion. And Rey, why we've been using you this whole time is because you were meant to be the dummy plug system. The dummy plugs are created from your DNA. The reason being is because we were hoping to get to a point where we wouldn't have to use you children as pilots any further. The only reason why it worked is because you were the only ones capable, the only ones that could be compatible. Even still, in the end, it doesn't really matter now, does it? Does it? It doesn't matter at all! Ritsuko would flip a switch, and with that, what could only be described as abject horror, they watched as all of the clones' bodies broke apart as they were destroyed. For Rey, the others would hug her and shield her from the sight. "You're crazy, lady," Toji would say. "You've gone too far." "Ritsuko," Misato would say. "How could you? Why does it matter? If you want to kill me, do it. I don't care. It didn't matter what I did or what my mother did. We couldn't compete with her. With a damn child. Oh God. Oh God, what have we done? Oh. It's what we've all done," another voice would say. "What the? Kaji?" Asuka would say. "Kaji?" Misato would chime in. "How are you still alive?" Ritsuko would say. Kaji would walk towards Misato and Ritsuko as he held both of their hands. "We have all played a role in this, the way that the world has become. The burden is not on Ritsuko alone, but for all of us. The sins are our burden to bear. I am sorry to you children for what we've done. We created hell on earth and we expected you to pay the price. We made you nothing more but pawns in the scheme amongst men and adults who act like little children, playing in a sandbox, amusing to their whims. Katsuragi, How could you do this to me? Truth be told, I was going to die. However, fate had another idea, and I was saved. Saved? By who? By someone we all know very much. Shinji? Asuka would say. Was it? He's still alive? Shinji's alive? Toji and Penny would be... They didn't know how to put it into words. They thought he was... Now all of the children were paying close attention. Shinji's alive? Where is he? Come on, where? There's no time for that. You need to be aware of what's about to happen. Seele is going to make its final move. In less than 12 hours' time, Nerve and almost all of Tokyo 3 is going to become a battlefield. Why? Because the final angel is already here. He's been here this whole time. The final angel? Karuro, Ritsuko would say. He is the 17th and final angel. What? You mean to tell me we gave the power to an... No. The power rejected him. However, being that he's an angel, he already has incredible power and strength. It's easy for him to fake it and pretend. My guess is that Garia rejected him. Then, where is he? Masayo would make a call to the medical bay. Karo had already checked himself out. Oh God. We need to put this place on lockdown. We have to make sure that he doesn't get whatever he's... There's no need to worry. There's already someone going to confront him. Shinji, Masayo would say. In an area that was filled with rubble and debris, the sun was beginning to set, overlooking a body of water. Karo sat on top of a pillar overlooking it all. He listened happily to the music that played from the cassette player. He felt the breeze moving around him. He stopped the music, though, as he unplugged, not turning around. I figured you'd come here sooner or later. You were waiting for me? I had nothing better to do. I'm in no rush. The figure in black would sit on the opposite side, on a pillar of his own, the two watching the sunset. Tell me, is the mask really necessary at this point? Shinji, Ikari. Shinji would pull off the black mask. You knew it was me. Of course. I was rejected by her. I'm not surprised. But still, I have to say, being Spider-Man was a lot of fun. Just moving about the city, dressed like this. Karo would flip the transformation switch, putting on the suit of red and blue. Why bother wearing it? Why bother doing anything? I just find it amusing. I wear the Spider-Man suit, but yet you are the real Spider-Man. I'm nothing but an imposter. Why have I been playing along? At the will of Sele. You know I am the last angel. I couldn't make my move until my other brethren were destroyed. All 16. You've played a role in that. Quite a bit. You even managed to get your hands on Leo Podden. I must ask, how is that possible? It was kept hidden away. Kaji showed me. The Japanese government didn't want to reveal all of its secrets to Sele or to Nerve. And Kaji has a way of keeping secrets. It was hidden off, but they had no way of accessing it or how to use it. That was until I came along. You all thought I was dead, so it gave them the perfect opportunity. They found someone that could pilot it. Ah, I see. Nothing but happenstance. Sending you off was the foolish thing to do. You should know, your father was not the one that ordered that missile strike on your plane. He wasn't the one that tried to kill you. It makes no difference. It doesn't really matter now whether he did or didn't. He still has blood on his hands. We all do, Shinji. We all do. So, you've come back from the dead. You've come all this way just to fight me. As the two boys stood, they donned their mask respectively, pulling it back onto their faces. I didn't come here to fight you. I'm here to kill you. This concludes Neon Genesis Evangelion, The Spire's Thesis. What if Shinji Ikari was Spider-Man? Part 9. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. And stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Jujutsu Kaisen The Spire's Curse. What if Miles Morales was Sukuna's vessel? Season 1, Part 9. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.